Welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by the Professor, Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim Hoey. Well, we have a special guest sitting in the Zoom meeting tonight. He's Brookline's state representative, the Honorable Tommy Vitolo. I'm greeting you here in the show. And now, remember, Tommy has his own big show. And this name, apparently was a contest to decide the name, and what the winner was the Tommy Vitolo Show. So that was a big reach, but welcome to the show, Tommy.
Well, once they decided to call it the Tommy Vitolo Show, they tried to find someone to host it, and the only one they could come up with was me. So I had no choice, being called the Tommy Vitolo Show, to go ahead and host the show.
I feel like
Thursday, usually at 2:30.
When I start, Thursdays 2:30 on Big, and of course they replay it on the Facebook as much as possible. But when I learn how to play an accordion, Tommy, I've got to at least do 10 minutes on your show. All right, we go to sports.
You have the practice, right?
All right. When I start with the Boston Red Sox, guys, the season starts July 24th, if you can believe it. And we talked about last week, the Red Sox basically have one pitcher you can depend on, Eduardo Rodriguez, and he's out with COVID.
He's on the injured list officially as of today.
I mean, geez.
All their lefties, Josh Taylor.
It's become a farce already.
Winston Hernandez.
Boys, the season already became a farce, and it hasn't even started yet.
So when is Evaldi expected back?
He's here.
He's part of it.
He's fine.
Okay.
He's your number one starter.
He could
But
be
Russ,
great.
I mean,
We've seen flashes of brilliance from him, right?
Yeah, but
Sure.
we talk about Erod, and you talk about the season. COVID is not an injury; it's a virus. Lots of guys are going to get it. You can't equate that with a guy being injured. If all of a sudden you've already lost your first starter because of the virus, why the hell are we playing?
Money.
Yeah, a lot of money at stake.
And also, people need a reason to stay home, right? The weather's nice. Everyone's going out coughing on each other. Put some baseball on television. People will stay home, have a beverage or two, and not infect each other. So you could think of it as a positive in public health.
Tommy, will you watch baseball?
I do.
You will. So you'll July 24th, at some point you'll watch the first game of the season.
I don't know what July 24th looks like. It's the end of the session. We'll be busy, but no, I love watching baseball. I'm sure I'll watch it this summer.
All right, boys, you guys, fellas, you guys see yourselves sitting there watching the 3.5-4 hour game?
I'm gonna
whole game.
I'm gonna certainly watch that's only half the game, right? I'll watch the first one and see if they can capture my attention.
Yeah.
You could have a buffet but at that time, the basketball could be starting, hockey starting, baseball, and they're all going to be playing all day long.
Yeah, Russ, like you said, that Major League Baseball is going to get buried. They basically have a week, Russell. They start July 24th, and then NBA and NHL start a week later.
They have a week to grab our attention, to play some decent baseball, to see how it feels. And I think, of course I'm going to watch because I got nothing else to watch. There's nothing left. Right. I mean, there's no sports left.
You already watched the Tiger King, I take it.
Yeah, there's just of course I'm going to watch, but I don't think I'm going to sit idly by for 3.5 hours.
Nathan Evaldi, Martin Perez, Brian Johnston, and Ryan Weber are your first 4 starters for the Boston Red Sox in 2020. It's a long way from 2018.
Wow.
But it's only a 60-game season, right? So you get a couple of lucky starts in a row.
That's right.
It's upside down.
I think
Tommy,
I grew up watching baseball in the 80s, right? And so I remember like Detroit and Kansas City. That's what every game is going to feel like. 16 people in the stands.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I just saw today that they're going to pipe in crowd noise. So someone gets a hit or a home run, all of a sudden they have the noise of the crowd. And apparently this makes players comfortable.
They've been doing it already at Fenway. during
I
these
don't
practice
have
games.
any issue with that. I really don't. Like I'm going to need some background noise, you know, that because it's just going to feel dead. My biggest concern is that it's just going to feel really, really, really dead. So anything that they can kind of, amp up a little bit without going too far is fine with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait and see for myself to see how it. If it feels so fake, it's ridiculous. I don't know how that's gonna go over.
Right.
Just have a sense that the offense is going to be ahead of the pitching. Usually in spring, when the beginning of the season or a normal season, the pitching's ahead of the hitting. It feels like it's going to be the opposite this year.
Could be right. That'd be fine with me. Let's have these games as action packed as possible. Right.
Yeah. And like what Tommy said, simply enough, it would be fun to watch. We have a great offense, the Red Sox, right? So you're going to see a lot of 10-8, 11-9 games, and that may keep the interest. All right. So boys, predictions. We'll start with Tommy. 60-game season. How are the Boston Red Sox going to do, Tommy?
27.
27 and 33. 27-33. Yeah,
remember they're playing 10 games against the Yankees, 7 in New York. Right? It's a tough schedule.
Yeah. So they're going to play the NL East for 20 games outside of their division and then 40 games inside the division. NL East is a tough division. All right. So we got pendant for 27 wins for Tommy. Russell boy.
32.
32 and 28, and does that get them into a wild card?
Yeah. Did they add another wild card team, Joe? Do you remember?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I think it gets them into a wild card. They're going to be in the race for the wild card.
All right, Timmy, what do you got?
I got 22 wins. I don't think they're gonna.
Oh my!
Wow.
All right, here, this no name squad. I don't know.
Joe,
I don't sense good things.
Russ is usually famous for being correct early in the season. His early season predictions are on the mark. So I'll jump on his bandwagon and I'll go a step further just because and go 34 and 26.
Wow.
Like it,
all right.
Now,
Boys, I got to
keep in mind, Tim's prediction sounds dire, but that would be the fewest number of losses the Red Sox have had in over 100 years.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That's
I got him at 25.
Always the optimist.
I got him at 25 and 35. I think that this team, the more I look at it, would have been a team that would have won 60 games in a normal season. This is how pathetic of a team it is.
Well,
when
remember,
you look at
they get to play the Orioles at least.
All right, who's going to have a better record at the end of the season, the Orioles or the Red Sox?
The Red Sox.
Red Sox.
I'm going to say the Orioles. Red Sox have nothing. Who are you guys even looking forward to watching?
Ticket holder to the Orioles. That's why he's saying that.
I used to be. I'm in love with fourth outfielders. There's something about them. So I'm actually looking forward to Kevin Pillar and watching him play. He used to kill the Red Sox.
I mean, we could finish a whole season without Jackie Bradley having a hit.
He's one of his stretches, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then the trading deadline is August 1st. Who's the most likely guy to be traded? Tommy.
Yeah, that's
no idea. One. Yeah,
right.
That's a hard one.
I'm going to say JD Martinez, guys.
You know what? I think
JD Martinez is the answer.
Well, I think they got him in a bargain. I think if Evaldi has a strong start, I think he would be some big-time bait. With that huge contract, the Sox would like to dump him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially if the Red Sox were doing poorly, they'd want to dump some big contracts.
Yeah. And Bradley's going to be a free agent, so I think he's susceptible to, especially with Pillar as a backup. He could
very little value though there.
You never know. Team might need him down the stretch.
Need him
like
catch baseballs.
A kid like Duran, who's going to probably end up being the starting center fielder for the Red Sox next year, makes Jackie Bradley even more expendable.
Yeah. But
all right, boys, go to the Patriots.
If Bradley starts out 0 for everything, who's even going to want him,
Yeah, right. It's usually pitching. And of course, I think the Los Angeles Dodgers, no matter what, they want to have some return for Mookie Betts, so they'll go all in. Always have been big trading partners with the Red Sox, and so these are the guys that you may be able to dump off with the Dodgers. All right, go to the Patriots, and if you can believe it, a sentence this week was said where Aaron Hernandez and Antonio Brown were in the same sentence when it comes to the New England Patriots, and it was positive, adding $7 million to the salary cap in some kind of a negotiation moves. How bizarre is the news that always comes out of Gillette Stadium?
Can you believe that the Patriots management were dragging their feet this long on the Hernandez thing? They knew they were going to have to pay it anyways, and they handicapped the team for how many years now because of this? Just because the other arm of the business didn't want to pay what they'd been ordered to.
But look, it looks bad that we had to give money to Aaron Hernandez at any point. Don't you think they just kind of waited till this point to finally do that?
It's not uncommon for folks to expect to get paid right away, but to try to pay others as late as possible. Certainly letter carriers know that trick.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it looks bad, but you pay the guy what you owe him, and them's the breaks, right?
Two very sad moves in Patriots history, right there.
Now, have they been paying Hernandez's estate all along here?
No,
I don't know.
They hadn't paid. That was the crux of it, and they needed to pay the estate that money. It had been adjudicated that they owed the money in the probate court, but they kept dragging their feet and filing motions, and for no reason, because now they end up having to pay it, and they sacrificed that salary cap money for these last 4 or 5 years.
But Russell, they did a nice negotiation with Antonio Brown. Lots of surprise around the league that they were able to negotiate about a half of what they owed him.
Yeah,
He must have been desperate.
Yeah, there was some reports that he was running low on money, so everything becomes a negotiation at that point in time. What's interesting about this deal now, though, is people speculating that it's not a coincidence that they had zero money when they signed Cam Newton and could go to Newton and say, we don't have no money on the salary cap. We need to sign you at the minimum. And then 6 days later, $7 million appears
right.
Out of nowhere. And had that been in reverse, Newton might have been saying, look, I want $4 or $5 million.
Yeah. Or he's just not going to sign with the Patriots and he'll continue to become a free agent. So Joe Thuney, we've had more discussions about Joe Thuney on this show. No offensive lineman has ever been discussed more on this show.
That is true.
So the deadline to extend Thuney was 4:00 today. They did not do that. So Thuney's all set. His tender is guaranteed. What are the chances of Joe Thuney re-signing with the Patriots after this season?
They won't tag him again, that's for sure. That'll be too much money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think almost zero. Too much money, and his agent will start with the tag number, right? Because the Patriots paid him the tag number. So
yeah, they were willing to pay it this year. They should be willing to pay next year. But they're paying
Tommy,
Jack Mason a lot too.
So Tommy, you excited about Cam Newton? I think I can agree that the group has been. We're very excited and surprised by the move.
I'm still unsure what football looks like, if it looks like. I mean, look, in 42 states in the country, COVID is growing and growing and growing. What does the fall look like when college kids are going back, when school kids are going back to school every day? You think things are going to be hunky-dory? I don't know what football looks like. I'm less optimistic. Baseball makes a ton of sense to me. It's outside. The players are far apart from each other. The travel has been shrunk down. Football, what's the plan?
Well, what's the talk in the State House? I mean, what do people think as far as just Massachusetts? Do you think that we'll continue to go forward, or is the feeling that in the fall and in the winter we'll be back inside?
So phase 3, the governor rolled out phase 3 last week and this week. I was surprised. I thought it was a little fast. I'm not going into a movie theater anytime soon. Coolidge Corner Theater included. Love you, but watching from home. Phase 4 is bars, right? I don't know, and I don't know what cold weather is going to do. My concern really is lots of people inside is how this thing gets spread most easily. We're doing more of that in September than we are in July and August, and so we'll suffer the consequences if we're going to suffer them October, November. And
Yeah,
the other sports.
If 1918 is any lesson, back in 1918, they got a nice little break in the summertime, and the influenza went away, and then they all went inside in the winter, in the fall, and the winter again next year, and there was another massive outbreak of it. So I'm sure scientists are looking at that a little bit, you know.
Yeah, the CDC does predict a huge uptick in the cases in October.
Yeah, I just don't see how they're going to be able to lock 32 sites down to tamp out the spread. I just think I can imagine the NBA's being successful. I can imagine the NHL being successful.
Yeah.
When it gets to baseball and football, that's just a lot of cities right in the Sun Belt who are really paying the price for it right now. And I just don't see how it's going to happen.
I don't think we'll disagree that quarterback is the most important position in sports. I mean, all of a sudden you lose a quarterback to COVID-19 and the team is done. You can't really say that. I mean, you could say that in basketball on some level if you lost to LeBron or the Celtics lost to Jason Tatum. But for sure in the NFL, if you lose Tom Brady, the season's over.
Yeah. Getting back to Cam Newton, Scotty, you brought him up a little bit earlier. I'm strangely excited to watch him play. I was very indifferent whether they signed him or not. When they were kind of bouncing it around. I'm like excited about this right now to watch this guy play.
31-year-old guy who's a former MVP who's playing on a make-do contract. I mean, it sets up for a big season.
It does.
He looks like he's in incredible shape.
The thing I think fans have got to really get their head around, and it's going to take a year or two, is Tom Brady didn't make a lot of mistakes, even at the end of his career with the Patriots, right? He made fewer mistakes than nearly any other quarterback did year after year after year. And so any other quarterback comes in and he's going to throw high and it's going to be a 30-yard interception when it should have been a 20-yard post pass. It's going to happen. Yeah. And Patriots fans just havenn't seen that for 15 years. Remember Drew Bledsoe? Drew Bledsoe was great, but he made mistakes. That's what it's going to feel like.
Tommy, I absolutely agree. We have been massively spoiled with the, minimum of interceptions with Tom Brady through these years.
Drew Bledsoe used to have 3 to 5 passes a game that we thought were going to go back for a pick six. That was the Drew Bledsoe era. He was a fantastic quarterback, but you're right, Tommy. Always threw a couple passes a game that you're like, look out.
Yeah, I think Tommy's right. We've got to get our heads around more interceptions. We're gonna get more upside plays, more scrambles. They're going to be more exciting, but there are going to be more mistakes that go along with it. I think that's.
How many games have we watched the opponent's quarterback hand us games with interceptions?
Absolutely. So I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. Bill Belichick is doing a Subway commercial.
Yes. That was a big sub he had there.
Yeah, he's doing a Subway commercial. Is this the beginning of the end for Bill Belichick? Is he already thinking post-career and he needs to sock away as much money as possible? Because it's kind of out of his personality. Wouldn't you agree?
Will he stop being nice to people? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I don't know. It's strange, wouldn't you say?
I haven't seen the commercial yet. I've heard a lot about it.
No, they just taped it yesterday. Yeah. I think
I've just seen stills, and it does look out of character.
Yeah, it looks out of character. It looks like a guy that, in the next year or two is going to end up going upstairs to probably be the president of the Patriots. And
Gotti,
Stephen Belichick.
You've been calling that for 6 years at this point.
Stephen Belichick will be the.
At some point in time, you'll be right.
It's either going to be Stephen Belichick or Jason Veritek will be the next coach.
I was going to say, when's Czech the manager of the Red Sox?
Yeah, right. Scott, you need the Swami hat on to be making predictions.
I know. I gotta go get that from the beach house. All right, boys, go to the Celtics. Now the Celtics start a week after the Red Sox, July 31st, against the Milwaukee Bucks. But all of a sudden, the bubble of Orlando comes out that Westbrook and Harden didn't even get to the bubble, and they've already tested COVID-19.
No, I don't think Harden tested positive. I think Westbrook did, right?
I thought.
Yeah,
no,
I
think
I
Harden
believe
did
Russ
too.
is right.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, look, but still, Rockets were a team that is definitely to compete for a title, and there's a possibility that one of their two big stars won't be able to play.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of time to recover. If he's not badly affected, there's plenty of time to recover. But that's going to be the big problem in the NBA. It's one thing for a seventh or eighth player on a team to test positive, and no one's going to devalue things because of that. But if one of the top two players on a team tests positive, attention will be paid.
Well, and what's going to happen when 4 of the top 8 or 9 players all test positive at the same time? Yeah. Which is
right.
Like the real concern is one guy gets sick and he spreads it to 4 others before they pull him out. And then so a week later, in baseball, you lose 4 guys for 2 weeks. That's a big problem, but maybe you get through it. Football, you lose 4 guys. You could fake that for a week or 2.
Yeah.
Basketball, how do you lose 4 guys?
Tommy, you think they just shut it down if something like that happens?
No, not in just one team. I think that team they're going to take 5 L's in a row and suck it up.
That's right. Yeah.
But the last time that happened was, remember, when Gobert tested positive, they pulled both teams off the court and both teams were put in 14-day quarantine. If they do
that was initially.
The playoffs are shot.
They said they wouldn't do that. Tommy, what is the transmission rate per person getting it? What is the rate right now in Massachusetts?
So the R0 value is estimated to be something like 1.05, which means that for every person who gets it, they're going to transmit it to slightly more than one person. And that's that exponential growth potential. But it's an estimate. And while those numbers are going upward, we're actually seeing the number of deaths, thankfully, going downward. So we're getting mixed signals. We don't really know. For basketball, with the 14-day pull them off, my expectation is they will test every player effectively the day of the game. And so if God help us, Tim, Russ, Scott, Uncle Joe, and Tommy are playing ball together, right? We test negative, we play. And then if 2 days later, Russ tests positive, they don't have to quarantine the team we played because we were negative when we played that team. So they're fine. As long as they're testing before every game, you don't have to worry about sort of retroactively pulling out the other team.
Yeah.
The timing and how fast they can turn around that test matters. But I'm not as worried about that because I expect they'll be testing, dang near every day for every player. And it's not that many tests.
Yeah, I just think that combined with, just injuries that are going to happen during the course of the 8-game season, following the regular season and the playoffs, and then you combine the COVID, by the end of this, if we do get to the finals, do you have a true indication of a true champion because of the personnel that had not play?
Look, if it wipes out half the league, it's going to be a very strange thing. But I just think it'll be a different championship. And people say, will there be an asterisk or not? The asterisk could mean it was harder, or the asterisk could mean it was easier, or it was just different. I think in history we'll look at this entire year as being completely different, and every sporting event in it is going to be looked at as different.
You know what, Rice? It might be 2 years with an asterisk, basically.
Could be.
And true champions are able to overcome adversity of all kinds. And this year they'll be presented with all sorts of problems no one has ever encountered before. So it'll be.
I think Tommy's
unusual.
right. I think that 3 to 4 is the magic number in the NBA, right? You lose 3 guys and maybe one of your top 3 players and a couple of other guys, you can figure it out. You lose 4 or more, and that's where a team is just going to be really debilitated. And if it hovers under 3, I think they're just going to go forward.
Can they bring the main 4 kids up?
Yeah. So they have
Frank Waters?
They have essentially 17-man rosters at this point in time. They've got the 15 they normally do, and then the 2 two-way players can join. So they have 17 guys to play with down in Orlando if they want.
Well, bad news coming from Celtics camp. Kemba Walker, if you remember when we were last playing, Kemba was sitting on the sidelines with knee problems. He still has the knee problems. That sounds like a guy who needs surgery at this point. So they're keeping him out of practice, and they're looking to see if he can play in August. That's a concern now and moving forward.
When I was driving down the road, I heard that on EEI. I almost fell out. I almost crashed the car.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a guy who needs surgery.
They was talking about a slightly gimpy knee 3 or 4 months ago, right?
Yeah,
you're expecting everyone to come back, except for the virus, full, like healthy. This was considered a minor problem 4 months ago. How is this still on the radar?
Yeah, you're worried that it's a tendonitis, which would be a long-term problem.
No, I mean, what one of the doctors who's on Boston Sports Journal suggested, this has all the makings of just chronic arthritis that they're just going to manage for the rest of his career.
Yeah. Pretty tough when you sign this guy to a max contract and all of a sudden this is already happening.
This is the first year.
Yeah. So you may see more of Mason Terrace's own Brad Wanamaker would come.
Mason Terrace wannabe.
Yeah, right. Wannabe. Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't afford it, Joe. He couldn't afford it.
Yeah, Tommy, Brad Wanamaker and his son played on my basketball court 2 years ago. And so now we call him Mason Terrace's own Brad Wanamaker.
All of Brookline's heard about this about 8,000 times.
Well, Tommy may not know. I had to let him know that.
Everyone in Brookline knows, Scotty. Everyone in Brookline.
Didn't you email him 100 times?
Maybe it was the 8x10 glossy photos you mailed everybody for your holiday card.
Well, Dave, I'm going to continue the story. Timmy had a photo op with Brad Wanamaker and told him that story, and Brad Wanamaker remembered. Isn't that right?
He did. That is the truth. That is the truth.
All right. So this could mean a Trey Waters sighting for the Celtics if Kemba can't go. We've heard so many great things about this second-round pick. He's really torn it up in the G League. Could this be the best pick that the Celtics had in this draft?
Wasn't he the MVP up there?
Yeah,
he was actually, yeah.
No, Rookie of the Year, Joe, I think.
Oh, Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. Look, I think, which isn't saying much, but possibly. But look, Grant Williams had a pretty good rookie year. He's in the rotation for a top 5 team in the NBA. That's saying something. But Waters could be the guy.
Could this be a Taco Fall 10 to 15 minute sighting, or am I being too optimistic?
No, I think that's Robert Williams' minutes now that he's healthy again.
I forget Robert Williams is on the team, to be honest with you, Joe.
The Time Lord's in and out, man.
I almost forgot his nickname.
Yeah, right. I know, right?
Used it so infrequently, that's why.
Look, Robert Williams feels like a guy that's just not going to be able to get on the court. There's always going to be some issue that comes up. I have no expectations for him. I think that Taco Fall has a better career than Robert Williams.
You don't see Robert Williams going in for defensively at the end of the game. Like, the guy can block shots.
He just looks like a guy who's just the whole clueless factor of Robert Williams is just off the charts at times. He doesn't look like he even knows what to do in the court.
Yeah, they're all going to get a shot to play in these 8 games. I think you're going to see them all.
All right, boys. Well, that's our show for tonight. I want to thank, of course, State Representative Tommy Vitolo. Again,
Yes,
Tommy's
that's
show
up the joint.
Thursdays at 2:30 on Big. The Tommy Vitolo Show. Make sure to tune in. And Tommy, you are a great representative of Brookline, and we wish you so much luck moving forward in your political career. Well, of course, I want to thank the boys. I want to thank Corbin behind the scenes. Please check us on our website at thegrandstanders.com. And tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.